今日就叫我哋思想是來啊，咱三個嚟敬拜咱嘅上帝。
This morning's message is entitled, Come, let us worship the Lord together.
咱嘅經本是詩篇第90篇。
And our passage is found in Psalm 95.
咱嚟讀一擺。
Let's read this one.
咱睇讀漢文，英文嘅指備，請你家己看英文嗬。你嗱喺讀漢文嚟講，我大家讀嗬。來啊，咱就耶和華歌唱，拯救咱嘅破著歡呼。咱就嚟感謝伊，用詩歌伊歡呼，因為耶和華是大神，為大王，超乎萬神之上。對一簽處佇伊手嘅中間，所有高峰也屬於伊，海有屬伊，是伊所造，大地也是伊手所做。來啊，咱就屈身敬拜，跌做咱嘅耶和華頭前跪落，因為伊是咱嘅上帝。咱是伊嘅草調嘅腰，是伊手嘅面。但願你今日你聽伊嘅話，你唔當伊獨心，就親像當日佇米利巴，就是佇曠野嘅瑪撒。迄陣你嘅祖宗試過貪過，並觀看我嘅作為。40年之久，我厭煩這個世代。我講，這是心內美好嘅百姓，竟然唔知影我嘅作為。所以我就怒中起誓講，伊斷斷無法入去我嘅安息。詩篇95篇是一條邀請嘅卡，一個 invitation card。
Psalm 95 is an invitation card.
上帝邀請咱三個嚟敬拜咱嘅上帝。
God is inviting us all together to come and worship God.
Come, let us worship our God. 來啊，咱就敬拜咱嘅上帝。互人邀請一個真正水嘅代志。
To be invited is something that's very beautiful.
有時人若無請你，有時你感覺無好勢。
Sometimes when you are uninvited, you feel that something is wrong.
你感覺別人輕看你。
You may feel that these people are belittling you.
今日無請過呢？
Why is it that they haven't invited me?
做牧師常常互人請。
And as a pastor, I am very often invited.
實在是講嘅榮耀，就講嘅 privilege。
Indeed, it is a kind of privilege.
但是我今日同你講，你又唔通小嘅客氣。
But let me tell you today that you shouldn't be too cordial with me either.
我只盡懶無愛互人請。
And I'm getting to the point wherein I want less and less invitations.
因為係時較老咯。
Because I'm getting old.
無愛個食少嘅多。
I don't want to eat too much anymore.
食較多就似就較早拜拜。
Because if I eat too much, then I'll have to leave sooner.
所以係較長嘅時間，為咗做較多嘅工作。
I want a longer time to be able to do more work for the Lord.
第二是我係細件啦，真真細漢。
Second reason is because my 3 children are still very small.
我係無愛常常留伊哋厝內。
And I don't want to leave them at home very often.
我細件啦真乖。
My 3 children are very well behaved.
每一擺睇到爸爸媽媽換衫出去嘅時陣，
Every time they see us get dressed and getting ready to go out,
以前問一個問題。
they would only ask us a question.
如果爸爸媽媽你要出去吧？
Dad and Mom, are you going out again?
你講好，
And I tell them yes.
就無講半句。
And then they wouldn't say any word after
我感
that.
覺我應該較多時間嚟陪伊。
So I feel that I need to spend more time with them.
但是有一個邀請
But there is an invitation
是非常嘅重要，
that is extremely important,
唔應該無去。
that we shouldn't refuse this
其實一個
invitation.
真正大嘅榮耀，一個
It
privilege。
is indeed a great privilege.
今日呢南菲律賓嘅總統不請你，
And today, if the president of the Philippines were to invite you
你
over,
盡嘅機密近因嘅話食 lunch，
invite your whole family over to Malacanang to have lunch with her,
這是你嘅榮耀，
this is your honor.
你盡嘅都去。
Your whole family will be going.
你記得一樣代志，
But you must remember
有
something.
一個另外一個 invitation，
There is another invitation
變咗係總統嗰個有榮耀嘅總統，
that is even of greater honor than our president.
伊是萬王嘅王，伊是萬主嘅主，
For he is the King of kings and Lord of lords.
伊向你發出一個邀請
And he is sending an invitation to you.
，Come, let us worship our God。
來啊，咱嚟敬拜咱嘅上帝。
這是何等大嘅榮耀！
This is such a great honor.
詩篇95篇一個敬拜上帝嘅邀請，
Psalm 95 is an invitation to worship God,
請你嚟三個敬拜上帝。
inviting you to come and worship God
這
together.
個敬拜有4個真正特別嘅所在
And。this worship has 4 very unique things
這是
about
全體性嘅邀請，
it. This invitation is for all.
唔是邀請一個人，
It is not for a single person,
是邀請所有嘅人。
but it is an invitation for everyone.
第1到第6節，
In verses 1 and 6.
人拜講 Come, let us worship our God. Come, let us bow down before the Lord.
Twice it is mentioned, come, let us sing, come before Him with thanksgiving, let us bow down before the Lord.
人拜講嚟敬拜咱嘅上帝。
And twice it is mentioned that you are being invited to worship our
第
God.
1到第6節，
Verses 1 through
你
6.
去生看咪
You try counting it,
？Let us，
counting the phrase, let us.
好君咱嚟敬拜上帝。
Let us worship God.
講到7拜，
And it is repeated 7 times.
咱三級嚟敬拜，三級嚟敬拜。
Let us worship together. Let us all come together to worship.
這個唔是個人嚟敬拜，
This is not a personal worship.
這是三級團體性嘅敬拜。
This is a corporate worship.
個人敬拜真好，
Personal or individual worship is very good.
你出嚟家己讀聖經，家己祈禱，家己唱聖詩。
As you are in your home, you read the Bible on your own, you pray on your own, and you sing songs on your own.
Very good。
That's very good.
但是
But
團體性嘅敬拜比個人嘅敬拜更加好。
corporate worship is even better than individual worship.
有一個兄弟真久冇嚟教會，
There was a brother who hasn't come to church for quite some time,
牧師去探伊，
and the pastor went to visit
請
him
伊嚟教會敬拜。
and invited him to come to church to
佢
worship.
講牧師雖然我冇嚟禮拜堂，
And he said that the pastor, although I don't go to church,
但是每一個早日我請佢 TV 敬拜上帝。
every Sunday I would switch on the TV and I would worship God just as well.
嗱，用現在話講，我聽到我係 internet，我係 computer 嚟敬拜上帝。
In our words today, we probably can say that we turn on our computer and we worship God on the internet.
牧師一句話都冇講，
And the pastor didn't even say a word.
迄陣當時寒天 winter，
And it was then winter.
這個厝內有一個火爐，
And there was a fireplace in that home.
佢間厝真熱真溫暖。
And the whole home was warmed by the heat from the fireplace.
牧師就一個氣啊，將裡面一支茶燒到嘅茶踢出嚟。
And what the pastor did was he took a tongue and took a piece of the wood from within the fireplace.
呢支茶燒啊，真燒。
And that piece of wood was still on
It's
flame.
still burning，
It was still burning.
但是慢慢，這個火就冇去，
But slowly the fire died down
後來完全熄去。
until it was completely
忽然
diminished.
間，佢嘅厝內有怪嘅感覺。
And all of a sudden they felt this cold wind within the home.
牧師冇講話，
The pastor didn't say a word.
這個兄弟也是冇講話。
The brother didn't even say a word
兩個
either.
人停了2分鐘，
And the two of them paused for like 2 minutes.
忽然間兄弟講一句話，
And then the brother suddenly said,
你講牧師多謝，
Pastor, thank you.
我知呀咯。
I understand.
這個禮拜我要去教會，大家敬拜上帝。
And this week I'll be in church to worship God together.
你知呀嘛
Do you understand
？individual 個別嘅敬拜及團體性嘅敬拜是無神嘅所在。
that there lies a difference between an individual worship and corporate worship?
什麼叫做敬拜？
What is worship?
我正在諗用無神關嘅 definition 嘅定義嚟講
There
敬
are
拜。
a lot of people who use different definitions to define worship.
其實敬拜就是向上帝嘅回應。
Actually, worship is our response toward God.
什麼叫做敬拜
What is worship?
？worship 這個英文是兩個英文，你叫做 worship 合起來嘅字。
English word for worship is combined from 2 words. Worship.
worship
Worship.
特啲咱上帝獻上一切，就叫做 worship。
Meaning to say that God is worthy of our all.
敬拜唔嗱是唱歌，
Now, worship is not simply singing.
雖然敬拜有唱歌，
Although we sing during worship.
敬拜唔嗱是祈禱，
And worship is not simply
雖
prayer.
然敬拜有祈禱，
And although we do have prayer in our worship.
敬拜唔嗱是講道，
And worship is not simply the preaching of
雖
God's
然
word.
敬拜有講道，
And although there is the delivery of the sermon during
敬拜有
worship
奉獻。
service. And in worship we have offering.
但係奉獻唔是只是敬拜，
But the giving of our offerings is not worship.
敬拜是嘅兩個內心發出一關更加配的特啲嘅心情。
Worship is something that emanates from our hearts, feeling that God is worthy.